side. Out of nowhere, someone shoots him. The car is then targeted by members of the French resistance. Vaughn leaves Marie behind and runs towards the jungle. Marie is now left alone with the rebels. A bar of gold is confiscated from Marie's bag. She begs them to spare her life and reminds them that they are fighting for the same cause. As a matter of fact, Marie planned this out. Moments later, the rebels are killed by Vaughn. He then returns back to drive the car, but it fails to start. He then asks Marie to step out of the car so they can find someplace safe. Marie is discouraged as this is the plan, but she can't let the German know. 3 years later, American soldiers approach a French man named George at the cemetery as they look for the grave of Colonel von Bruckner. George denies that there are Germans buried in the area. Marie is then brought in from their vehicle. Her hair has been cut as she's been branded a traitor by her countrymen. Her hands are also tied. She's warned by Major Maitland that he won't show any remorse if she refuses to tell them where Vaughn is buried. She is supposed to help them find the buried treasure along with the German's body. The officer explains to her that they are now allies and that they should work together. He then uncuffs her. Marie insists that she can't remember as the cemetery has changed, and there are so many more graves now than before. She points out an area where Vaughn might have been buried, but she warns him that she's not completely sure. 2 soldiers start to dig. They find a body, but there's no gold. Vic, one of the American soldiers, is tasked to gather more information from George. He befriends him by sharing his cigarette and his passion for music. Vic promises him that he'll protect him as long as George cooperates. Without Vic's knowledge, another French man, Clement, is behind him and hacks his back with a machete. Vic is killed by Clement. To make sure that they are not caught, Clement hides the dead body of the American soldier and wears his uniform. He then grabs some guns and warns George to hide once the shooting starts. Clement will now go near the Americans disguised as Vic. Marie points out another area in the cemetery. She's uncertain, but she believes that is the right spot. The two begin to dig again, but their efforts are put to waste as no treasure is buried again. When confronted, the soldiers then notice that Vic leaves George behind. What they don't know is that Clement is now wearing his uniform. One of the soldiers approaches Clement thinking it's Vic. Clement then shoots the soldier at point-blank range. A gunfight takes place afterward, where the soldier has killed as well as George. Clement manages to escape. Major Maitland blames Marie for the soldier's death. Marie insists that the Major's greed caused Chris's death. Jerry, the other soldier who is working with Chris digging for the treasure, threatens to kill Marie but Major Maitland stops him. She is tied up to a stone cross while Maitland is digging a hole nearby. Jerry saw where Clement was hiding before the gunfight stopped. He throws a hand grenade into a hole where Clement is hiding. Clement sees the explosive and is able to escape. He ends up communicating with George's ghost. George warns him that he'd be joining him soon because of his love for Marie, who does not even remember him. In a flashback, Marie and Colonel von Bruckner were talking about what they could do with the treasure after the war was over. Vaughn mentioned that it's not about the gold but about what it can buy them, like freedom, security, and power. Vaughn also mentioned that hiding the treasure in a cemetery is a good idea. She then left a note for the French resistance for them to kill Vaughn and steal the gold in the cemetery. The ambush was instead done away from the cemetery. When it was done, Vaughn managed to kill the rebels instead. At night, they went to the cemetery to hide the gold as planned. Marie then betrayed the German officer and shot him in the face. Thinking that she had killed him, she put his body in one of the stone coffins where she hid the treasure. Marie was soon arrested as Vaughn was no longer there to protect him. She was then sent to a concentration camp for 3 years. This was not what she signed up for. It's then revealed that Colonel von Bruckner is, in fact, still alive. Metz, a fellow French man, warns him that their lives are over. Vaughn remains hopeful that they can still find a way out. He instructs Metz to get firearms and ammunition. They will begin to get away in the evening and through the night. He warns Metz to keep their plan to themselves. Vaughn then shares that there's one place he wants to visit first before they leave. That's the cemetery where the bars of gold are. Back in the present, Maitland is still digging a grave near where Marie is tied up. He warns her that if they don't find the gold by sundown, he will kill her. Maitland proceeds to continue shoveling out but fails to get any treasure. Jerry informs him that the Germans are on their way to their location. There are not a lot of them, but they are a threat nonetheless. Maitland is not ready to give up just yet. To force Marie to tell them where the gold is, Maitland asks Jerry to place a skull on top of Marie's head. He then shoots the skull and replaces it with another one repeatedly. This proves to be effective as Marie is now terrified that he'd miss. She promises to take them where the gold is this time. Maitland unties her, and they all head to where bars of gold are, in fact, hidden, the stone coffin where she hid the body of Vaughn. After the gold is retrieved, Jerry is surprised that there are no remnants of Vaughn's body. He confronts Marie for lying once Marie takes a closer look and is surprised that there's nobody in there. She is certain she shot him to death. While everyone is still processing what just happened, Clement comes out and aims a gun at them. He asks Marie to get the bag of gold and join him. Jerry and Maitland start shooting at them while Clement fires back. Marie and Clement are able to get away. Marie confronts him about the ambush that they executed before. Clement explains the reason why it was moved to a different location where the ambush backfired at them. Clement apologized for what happened. Marie tells him that she was imprisoned for 3 years because of the incident. Maitland and Jerry are eventually able to catch up. While George is shooting at them, Marie grabs a piece of wood and hits George in the head. This gives her the time to get the bag of gold and run away. While she's hiding behind a tree, Jerry aims a gun at her. Jerry offers a truce and shares the gold among themselves. After all, there are enough gold bars to share. Maitland has a different idea. Knowing that the Germans are on their way, he suggests that George and Marie help them in killing the Nazis. He pledges to give them a bar of gold in return. The Germans are on their way to Spain, but they are making a detour to the cemetery for unknown reasons. What they know is they need to arm themselves and prepare to surprise the Germans. They now work as a team. Maitland lays out all the weapons they have. He reckons they will suffice. George then sets up explosives in the area. Marie is also handed over a gun. She assures Maitland that she knows how to use it as she grew up on a farm. While setting up explosives, Clement hears George's voice again. He is told that his love for Marie is not reciprocated as she won't even look at him. The Americans will eventually betray him and bury him along with the Germans. Clement convinces himself not to listen to the dead man. The Germans now arrive at the cemetery. They stop at the gate. Vaughn comes down and commands his men after seeing that the place might not be safe with the presence of an American military truck. Marie can't believe what she is seeing. The man that he betrayed in the shot is still alive. One German soldier checks the truck and then the bottom of it. He sees the dynamite and warns everyone. Clement then detonates the bomb. Gun battle then takes place. Maitland and his team are able to give the Germans a run for their money as they are strategically positioned. From a distance, Vaughn sees Marie. He initially aims at her head but decides to shoot her leg instead. As Vaughn moves in, Clement comes out of a hole and is then killed by Vaughn. Jerry engages in a knife fight against a German soldier who is as skilled as him. He manages to kill the German, but he's been stabbed several times before that. Maitland comforts Jerry and assures him that he has seen weaker men being able to recover. Maitland also tells him that he called in for backup. Maitland lets him know that the place will be bombed if Maitland fails to report at a given time. Jerry has one last favor to ask. For him to get a gun and kill Vaughn. His wish is granted as Vaughn passes near him. He aims at him but misses. This gives Vaughn the chance to finish Jerry. Maitland is devastated as his friend has been killed. He is able to hit Vaughn in the arm. Vaughn offers a truce. He also warns Major Maitland to be careful with Marie. According to him, Marie has a thing for men in uniform, and then she will just use them until she gets what she wants. After that, she'll betray them. Marie goes closer to where Vaughn is hiding. The two then face off with guns drawn. Maitland warns them that the graveyard will be heavily bombed if he fails to report to the command post. He suggests a ceasefire, sharing the gold, and going their separate ways. Vaughn likes the idea, so he lowers his handgun. Marie then aims at Maitland and kills him. She then goes closer to Vaughn and shoots him, but Vaughn manages to squeeze the trigger of his gun and hits Marie in the shoulder. Hearing no report from Maitland, military aircraft are on the way to the cemetery to annihilate the place. Vaughn, on the